Okay. It's live now. So let's get started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you so much. So we'll start today chapter 5 Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Slow. Okay. Before I start, I'll pray to my Guru Maharaj. Om Ajnanitimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chirupormilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanshcha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Shahakalalitam Tam Tam Sajivam Shadvaitam Shavadhutam Parijanasahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sri Gadalalta Sri Visakhantanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanushute Devi Pranamami Haripriye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभस्य च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So this is chapter 5, 5.1. We'll start with first one. Arjuna Vacha.
Arjuna Vacha.
Sannyasam karmanam Krishna.
Sannyasam karmanam Krishna.
Pune cha chansasi.
Pune yogna cha sachanchi.
Yacheya yat yoterekam tanme.
Yache ik yodrikam tanme.
Tanme bruhi sunishchitam.
Brahme druhi sunishchitam.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Shri Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work. And then again you recommend work in devotion. Right? Work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? Purport. In this fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that the work in devotion is better than the dry mental speculation. Devotion service is easier than the later because being transcendental in nature, it frees one from the reaction. In the second chapter, preliminary knowledge of the soul and its enlightenment in the material body, entanglement in material body were explained. How to get out of this material entangle, my Buddhi Yoga or devotion service, was also explained therein. In the third chapter, it was explained that a person who is situated on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. And in the fourth chapter, the Lord told Arjuna that all kind of sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. However, at the end of the fourth chapter, the Lord advised Arjuna to wake up and fight, being situated in perfect knowledge. Therefore, by simultaneously stressing the importance of both work in devotion and inaction in knowledge, Krishna has perplexed Arjuna and confused his determination. Arjuna understands that renunciation in knowledge involves cessation of all kind of work performed as sense activities. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? In other words, he thinks that sannyas or renunciation in knowledge should be altogether free from all kind of activities, because work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. He appears not to have understood that work in full knowledge is non-reactive and is therefore same as inaction. He inquired therefore whether he should cease work altogether or work with full knowledge. You got this gist, right? That in the second chapter, Krishna explains Buddhi Yoga, and in third chapter, Krishna explains that everything should be performed on the platform of knowledge, then you have no duties to perform. So basically, you are not obliged to do anything if you are working in knowledge. In the fourth chapter, the last chapter, Krishna describes Arjuna all kind of sacrificial work, which ultimately culminates in knowledge. And at the end, he asks Arjuna to fight. So the confusion is that one way Krishna is saying, Arjun, you should do devotional service, you should work for me. And the other way Krishna is explaining, oh, you should take renunciation, you should take sannyas. So how can, if you take sannyas, you can work? This is the confusion of Arjun. And sannyas means, generally it is known that you don't work for anything. So it seems incompatible that one way you're asking, oh, you work for me, and then the other way you're saying, oh, you don't do anything. So that's what Arjuna is confused. And let's start what Krishna says. Who wants to read? 5.2.
I will read.
Yes, Mataji.
संन्यासः योगाश्च निःस्त्रियासा करौ उभौ तयोस्तु संन्यासत् कर्मयोगो विशिष्यते. The personality of God had replied, the renunciation of the work and the work in the devotion are both good for liberalization. But of the two, work in devotion is better than renunciation of work. Purport. Fruitful activities seeking sense gratification are caused for the material bondage. As long as one is engaged in activities aimed at improving the standard of bodily comfort, one is sure to transmigrate to different types of bodies, thereby continuing material bondage perpetually. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.4-6 confirms this as follows.
I can read for you. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma. You can repeat, Mataji.
Nuvam karam pravapta kurute vikarma.
Yad indriya pratitaya apnanoti.
Yad indriya pratitya pranoti.
न साधु मन्ये यद आत्मनोऽयम्
न साधु मन्ये यथा आत्मनोऽयम्
अस्नाप्ली क्लेशदशा
अस्ना अपि क्लेशदसाददेह
प्रभावस्तत्त्वावद् अभोजजात
प्रभावस्तत्तवाद् अवदोदजात
यावं न जिज्ञासयात्मा तत्त्वम्
यावं न जिज्ञासता आत्मतत्त्वम्
यावत् क्रियास्तावद् इदं मनोव्यय
यावत् क्रियास्तावद् इदं मनोव्यय
कर्मात्माकं येन शरीरबन्धा
कर्मात्मना कं यत् येन शरीरबन्धं
एवं मना कर्म वशं प्रयुक्नते
एवं मना कर्म वशं प्रयुक्ते
अविद्ययात्मने उपधीयमाने
अविद्यात्मने उपधीयामे
प्रतीतिरेनायावन्मयि वासुदेवे
प्रतिनावयम्या मयि वासुदेवे
न मुच्यते देहयोगेन तावत्
न मुच्यते वे न योगे तावत्. People are mad after sense gratification, and they do not know that this present body, which is full of miseries, is a result of one fruitful activity in the past. Although this body is temporary, it is always giving one trouble in many ways. Therefore, to act for the sense gratification is not good. One is considered to be failure in life as long as he makes no inquiry about his real entity. As long as he does not know his real entity, he has to work for fruitful result for sense gratification. And as long as one is engrossed in the consciousness of the self gratification, one has to transmigrate from one body to another. Although the mind may be engrossed in fruitful activity and influenced by ignorance, one must develop a love for devotional service of Vasudeva. Only then can one have the opportunity to get out of the bondage of material existence. Therefore, Janana, then or knowledge that one is not this body material but spirit soul, is not sufficient for liberalization. One has to act in the state of spirit soul, otherwise there is no escape from for the material bondage. Action of Krishna consciousness is not, however, action of the fruitful platform. Activities performed in full knowledge strengthen one's advancement is real knowledge. In real knowledge, without Krishna consciousness, mere renunciation of fruitive activities does not actually purify the heart of conditioned soul. As long as the heart is not purified, one has to work on the fruitive platform. But action in Krishna consciousness automatically help one escape the result of fruitive actions so that one needs not descend to material platform. Therefore, action in Krishna consciousness is always superior to renunciation, which always entails a risk of falling. Renunciation without Krishna consciousness is incomplete, as in confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamantra Sindhu. प्रपंचिकत्याया बुद्ध्या हरि संबंधी वस्तुनः मुमुक्षुभिः परित्यगो वैराग्यं फल्गु कत्याति. When persons eager to achieve liberalization renounce things related to the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, think him to be material, their renunciation is called incomplete. Renunciation is complete when it is in knowledge that everything is in existence belongs to the Lord, and that no one should claim proprietorship over anything. One should understand that factually nothing belongs to anyone. Then, where is the question of renunciation? One who knows that everything is Krishna's property is always situated in renunciation. Since everything belongs to Krishna, everything should be employed in the service of Krishna. This perfect form of the action is in Krishna consciousness is far better than any amount of artificial renunciation by sannyasi of the Mayavadi school.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, so this is a very important point. The question we raised that how can you work in devotion but at the same time you do sannyas? Like you you don't work. So this is the formula. Like suppose you have a house, you have your home and you have a kids. And one day your 5-year-old kid says, "Oh, I'm gonna give up this house." So you'll be laughing like, "Oh, what you're gonna give up? You don't own anything here. Like what you're trying, I'm gonna give it up." First, you should own something, then you give it up. So if you don't own anything, what is the point of giving up? Like it's just false giving up, right? Likewise, this world is belongs to Krishna. Krishna created this world. Krishna created us, and we say, "I'm going to renounce." But to renounce, you should own first, right? So what you're gonna renounce if you don't own anything? So that's the point. That therefore, whatever temporary we possess some things, of course, but temporary. And like this body, right now we are possessing it. Like our spirit soul, the body, we possess it. The house you're sitting, legally it's your. The family you produced, your children's, your father, mother, your children, the whole family bodily relation is yours, right? It is temporary, it's for some time. Your husband, wife, maybe half of the life you got married, then before the marriage there was no relation, but after marriage it became relation. So it is temporary, and after death everything will be over. After the death is the time our relation finished, right? So while this temporary time between birth and death, we own what we call own something like your property, your education, your money, your beauty, your body, your everything. But if we I actually own everything, then why it was taken away at the time of death? It should stay forever, right? So which means that we don't own anything. So what should we do? Then what we should do? We should engage in the service of Krishna. That's our perfection. That's our perfection, right? Because it's like if you're working in a company, another example you can take. You work in a company, you're an employee, and and at some point you decide, oh, I'm going to give up this group or give up this company, or I'm gonna just kind of, how do you say word? Which word you use? Like suppose you feel like you own the company because you are in company from beginning. Like when the company started, you were there, and you think that you are the owner. Though you are not an owner, but you one day you go to the owner and say, "Hey, whatever XYG, I'm going to sell this company, or I'm going to just throw this company." And the owner will say, "Excuse me, this does not belong to you. This is mine. So what you have, what exactly your position, right?" So he'll ask your position. What exactly you're saying? You don't own anything. So for renouncing, you should own things, right? So that's the point here Prabhupada is making. But if we artificially try to renounce, it's no use because we'll be again entangled, right? Okay, next is Loka. Who wants to read? 5.3. Unmute whoever want to speak. Amni Mataji, you want to read? Unmute. Unmute Mataji. Can't. I'm asking you to unmute. You can unmute now. Can't hear you. Mataji, Amni Mataji, I cannot hear you. Yes, can now it's better.
ज्ञेयः स नित्यसन्न्यासी यो न द्वेष्टि न कांस्- काङ्क्षति निर्द्वन्द्वो हि महाबाहो सुखं बन्धात् प्रमुच्यते. One who neither hates nor desires the fruit of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all duties, easily overcome material bondage and he is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna. One who is fully in Krishna consciousness is always a renouncer because he feels neither hatred nor desire or the result of his action. Such a renouncer dedicated to the transcendental loving service of Lord is fully qualified in knowledge because he knows his constitutional position in his relationship with Krishna. He knows fully well that Krishna is the whole and that he is part and parcel of Krishna. Such knowledge is perfect because it is qualitatively and quantitatively correct. The concept of oneness with Krishna is incorrect because the part cannot be equal to the whole. Knowledge that one is quality yet different is quantity is correct transcendental knowledge, leading to one become full of in himself, having nothing to aspire to to all lament over. There is no duality in his mind because whatever he does for Krishna. Being thus freed from the platform of dualities, he is liberated, even in this material world. Should I read more?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Sankhya Yoga पृथक् बालः प्रवदन्ति स पण्डितः एकं माप्य स्थितः संयुभयो वर्धिते फलम्. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the result of both. Purport. The aim of the analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of the material world is Vishnu or super soul. Devotional service to the Lord entails service to the super soul. One process is to find the root of the tree and the other is to water the root. The real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of material world, Vishnu, and then in perfect knowledge engages himself in the service of Lord. Therefore, in essence, there is no difference between the two because the aim of both is Vishnu. Those who do not know the ultimate and say that the purposes of Sankhya and Karma Yoga are not the same. But one who learns knows the unifying aim in these different processes.
uh, Hetal Mataji, you want to read next? Or
Okay.
survey, or maybe Sarvesh Prabhu. Do you want to read? If your internet is good.
Yes, sir. Sure, Prabhu, sure. सांख्ययोगो पृथग्बाला प्रवदन्ते न पंडिता
No,
एकमप्यैष
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, 5.5. 5.
ओके ओके
You see the screen.
यस यत्
5.5.
सांख्ये प्राप्यते स्थानं तद्योगैरपि गम्यते एकं सांख्यं च योगं च य पश्यति स पश्यति. Translation. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, see things as they are. Purpose. The real purpose of philosophical research is to find the ultimate goal of life. Since the ultimate goal of life is self realization, there is no difference between the conclusions reached by two processes. By Sankhya philosophy, One comes to the conclusion that a living entity is not a part and parcel of the material world, but of the Supreme Spirit whole. Consequently, the spirit soul has nothing to do with the material world. His action must be in some relation with the Supreme when he acts in Krishna consciousness. He is actually in his constitutional position. In this first process, Sankhya, one has to become detached from matter. And in the devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself to the work of Krishna consciousness. Actually, both processes are the same, although superficially one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can see this, see things as they are. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So let's see. Okay, let's read. Hidal Mataji, you can read this one. Then we will discuss after 6th. Yes. You're there.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Sannyasatsu mahabhavo dukkhama suma yogataha yoga yukto muna brahma na chirena diga kshate. Merely renunciation all activity, renouncing all activity, yet not engaged in devotional service of Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Purport. There are two classes of sannyasis. A person in the renounced order of life, the Mayavadi sannyasi, are engaged in the study of Sankhya philosophy, whereas Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in study of Bhagavatam philosophy, which affords the proper commentary on the Veda Sutras. The Mayavadi sannyasi also study Vedanta Sutra, but use their own commentary called Sariraka Bhasya, written by Shankaracharya. The students of the Bhagavatam school are engaged in devotional service of Lord according to Pancha, Pancharatriki regulation, and therefore Vaishnava sannyasa have multiple engagement in transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasas have nothing to do with the material activities, and yet they perform various activity. Yet they perform various activity in their devotional service to Lord. But Mayavadi sannyasis engaged in studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord because their studies become very tedious. They sometimes become tired of the Brahman speculation and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their studies of Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Tried speculation and impersonal interpretation by artificial means are all useful for Mayavadi sannyasis. The Vaishnava sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have the guarantee of the ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. Mayadar sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and engage and again enter into material world of philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna conscious activity are better situated than the sannyasis engaged in the simple speculation about that is Brahman and what is not Brahman. Although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, basically, it is saying here that if you want to really become renounced, then you have to attach to something. Because if you remember, we cannot stay idle for any minute. So here Krishna is saying that same point. If you go back from the reading from third sloka, that one should not hate or desire the fruits of his activity known as is always renounced. Such person is free from all dualities, easily overcome material bondage, is completely liberated, O mighty Arjuna. Only ignorant speak of devotion serving. Karma yoga is being different from the analytical study of material world Sankhya. Those who are actually learned says that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieve the result of both. One who knows the position reached by the means of analytical study also can be attained by devotion service, and who therefore can see analytical study and devotion service to on the same level, sees things as they are. And here is saying, merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in devotion service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotion service can achieve with supreme without delay. So it's Krishna is saying that there is a goal to all these things, right? Like for example, if you want to become a sannyasi, the goal is to reach Brahman, right? That you want to become detached from this world. But then how long it's boring, because if suppose somebody gives you salary and says you don't have to do anything. So I'll give you salary every month, but you don't have to do anything. Just sit. And I'll give you a book, whole day you just read the book or just think. How boring it would be, right? Like, okay, one day you can do, 10 day you can do, but after a month you'd be like frustrated, like what I'm doing. Like I'm just eating, sleeping, reading book, nothing, right? But the same way, even you get salary, but you get some work which you like to do. So there is a fulfillment, there is a inner satisfaction, and additionally you get compensation. That is better job. That okay, I can do so many variety of things, and I also get compensation, right? So that's the difference between two kind of sannyasis. One sannyasi wants to renounce the world and just sit idle. The other sannyasi that you want to engage everything in the service of Krishna. So if when you want to engage things, then there is a variety, because then you have so many things to do. But you want to renounce everything, there is nothing to do. You just sit, right? So that's why Mayavadi sannyasis fall down from their position. They cannot stay sannyasi longer, because how long you will renounce? At some point, your senses and mind will drag you down to the material world again, right? So that's Krishna is saying that it's better to engage in service of Krishna and engage everything for service of Krishna. And then you are sannyasi, because you are not doing anything for yourself. And you know that you are not the body, you are a spirit soul. And this world is belongs to Krishna, so let me engage everything for his service. Right? So that's the difference between a Mayavadi sannyasi and a Vaishnava sannyasi. Okay. So Vaishnava sannyasi engages everything for the service of Krishna, but Mayavadi sannyasi wants to renounce everything for his happiness, because he wants to become liberated and merged in Brahman. But Vaishnava sannyasi want to satisfy Krishna and engage everything in the Krishna's service, including his own body, mind, senses, everything. Right? So that's the difference. 5.7, Nagarani Mataji here, so you can read Mataji. Hare Krishna. Unmute.
Prabhuji, I'll read next one, Prabhuji. I'm
Okay.
just settling down.
Okay. Kamini Mataji, you want to read?
Yeah,
Kamini
no,
Mataji.
I'll read Prabhuji. Seventh
Okay.
one, right, Prabhuji?
Yes.
योगायुक्तो विशुद्धात्मा विज्जितात्मा जितेन्द्रिया सर्वभूतात्मा भूतात्मा कुर्वन् अपि न लिप्यते. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who control his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. So always working, such a man is never entangled. Perfect. One who is on the path of liberation of Krishna consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is due to Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, just as the leaves and branches of tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches, or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his mind is controlled, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna, nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matters other than the service of the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna, and he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. One may ask, why then was Arjuna offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? Arjuna was only superficially offensive because he is already has already been explained in the second chapter. All the assembled persons are on the battlefield would continue to live individually as the soul cannot be slain. So spiritually, no one was killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only their dresses were changed by the order of Krishna, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in the reactions of work. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. That's very important sloka. Yoga yukto visuddhatma vijitatma chitendriya sarva bhutatma kurvanti na lipyate. That would work in devotion, who is pure soul, who control his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Although always working, such man is never entangled. So same philosophy we discussed, that if, just like Prabhupada explaining here, that if you engage everything of yours in Krishna's service, then Krishna is happy. So if you can make Krishna happy, if you can water the root, then the whole tree is happy. Though superficially people may be angry from you, but at the soul level, see, Krishna is sitting in as a super soul in everyone's heart. So he can, in long term, satisfy everyone. Okay, so that's the formula. So now we have 5, 8, and 9. Who wants to read this one? Anyone? Grab it. Kamini Mataji, you want to unmute? Want to read? Unmute.
Okay.
Prabhuji, if you want, I'll continue.
You can do 10th, Mataji, after
Prabhuji.
this. Yes.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
नैव
Mataji.
किञ्चित् करोमीति युक्तो मन्येत तत्त्ववित् पश्यान् सर्वान् स्पर्शन् स्पृश जिग्रहम् असनं गुच्चान सवन श्वसन् प्रलय परालापन विसर्जन ग्रहण अनुयुनिशन निमिषना अपि इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियेषु यथार्थेषु वर्तन्त इत धारयन्. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always known within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their object and that he is aloof from them. Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence and consequently he has nothing to do with any work which depends upon five immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and the fortune. This, this is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in senses of gratification, but in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna senses. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in affair of the senses. Activities such as seeing and hearing are actions of the senses meant for receiving knowledge, whereas moving, speaking, evacuating, etc. are action of the senses meant for work. A Krishna conscious person is never affected by the action of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So same Krishna is saying how. So you remember the question Arjuna asked, how does the sober person walks? How does he think? All that question in the beginning, before this chapter. So here Krishna is saying, just like we devotees of Krishna, we are trying to become devotee of Krishna. We do everything. We see, we hear, we touch, we smell, we eat, we move, we sleep, we breathe. We even have sex life and children's. But then the purpose of everything, we try to keep this consciousness that everything belongs to Krishna, including myself. So everything belongs to Krishna, including myself. Therefore, everything I should engage in service of Krishna. So though externally somebody can say, oh, you are doing everything, what I do, so how you are different than me? But you see here that though we all are doing the same thing, but the difference is how we are seeing what we are doing. The difference is that, oh, one person knows everything is done by external energy of the Lord. That is, hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, eating, moving, sleeping, breathing. Actually, we don't have control over it. How long you can control, right? Because if we had a control over all of these activities of the body, then why at the time of death we cannot do all those things? And even forget about time of death. When some of the disease hits, some of these activities stops. For example, if eye is affected, you cannot see. If your ears don't work, you cannot hear. If your nose doesn't work, you can't smell like COVID, right? If your tummy gets bad, you lose your tooth, you cannot eat. If your legs are affected, you can't move. If you have depression, anxiety, you can't sleep. And if you have any lung problem, you can't breathe. So which means they are automatically carried out by the body. But the soul knows this, that, oh, I'm not doing it. It's anyways automatically working. But the other person who is constantly engrossed in the bodily concept is thinking, oh, I'm seeing, I'm hearing, I'm touching, I'm smelling, I'm eating, I'm moving, I'm sleeping, I'm breathing. And then what happens? If any of these functions get affected, then you start thinking, oh, I'm now useless because I'm not able to do all these things. So I, right? That's the problem. So we have to shift from I to Krishna. The moment you put Krishna in the center, then everything makes sense, right? So that's the message. We'll go to the 10th sloka. Hare Krishna. I think Swati Mataji joined, so maybe she can read. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes.
Yes, I think you should read this 10th one.
Sure. ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्मणि संगयत्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन पन्नपत्रमिवाम्भसा. Hari Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness.
No, you should read. You can read the
Okay.
translation.
Okay. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So Hari Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. Here Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. The material world is a sum total manifestation of the three modes of material nature. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. We can hear you.
Technically called the Pradhana. The Vedic hymen Sarvam by Itad Brahma, Manduka Upanishad. Tasmat idat Brahma nama rupam annam ka jayate. Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.9. And in the Bhagavad Gita 14.3, Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma indicate that everything in the material world is a manifestation of Brahman. And although the effects are differently manifested, they are not different from the cause. In the Isopanishad, it is said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman or Krishna, and thus everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Krishna, that he is the proprietor of everything, and that therefore everything is engaged in the service of the Lord, naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even one's material body, being a gift of the Lord for carrying out a particular type of action, can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. It is then beyond contamination by sinful reactions, exactly as the lotus leaf, though remaining in the water, is not wet. The Lord also says in the Gita 3.30, Mai Sarvani Karmani Sannyasa, resign all works unto me. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses. But a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So here the message is like we have a very nice example called the bank. So in the bank you have a cashier, the person who counts the money. So the cashier never thinks that bank is mine, though he counts in millions of dollars daily. The none of the dollar he thinks it's mine. But somebody can say, "Oh, you're dealing with millions of dollars daily," compared to someone who's a thief. Or somebody, there could be two type of cashier. You can take two type of cashier. One cashier who is very detached, just takes his salary or her salary and just does the job of counting the money and giving whoever belongs to it, right? The owner of the bank or the people who deposit the money. But the other type of cashier who is trying to take some money immediately will be implicated in crime or wrongdoing, or it's a corruption. So what is the difference? The difference is in how they are thinking while doing their task. Another example, very common, we all do job, right? So you have a designation in the company, you are paid for doing certain tasks, and you are given certain things. You're given laptop, sometimes you're given phone, so many things. So if you use, while you're working in the company, you're using all that thing. You're using your desk, you're using monitor, you're using your phone or laptop, desktop. But in your mind, you know that nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to the company XYZ you work for. And my job is just to do my task and take my salary. You may be dealing with millions of dollars monthly, but you know that I will just get my salary, right? Because you know that nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to company I work for. The owner will take care of it, right? So you will try to engage everything in the service of company, because if you are a faithful servant, of course. So, or you're trustworthy. So that way you will be happy, because you're not doing anything wrong. You're just doing your job. You know nothing belongs to you. You just get your salary. You're happy and peaceful. You go at home, sleep nicely. But other way, if you see some person is trying to do some corruption, trying to engage the same laptop or doing someone else work, trying to do, moving the money here and there, corruption, nepotism, so many things, the person will not be peaceful, because always feared. Oh, if one day my owner comes to know, my boss, manager comes to know I'm doing this, then I'll be gone, out of job. So same way, even somebody is atheist, they know that this world don't belongs to them. Everybody has the share as an individual. So don't try to encroach someone else's money or property. If you are a theist, if you believe in God, then you know that this world belongs to God, my body belongs to God. Everything I have, bodily relations, whether husband, wife, children, property, everything belongs to God, because it's temporary. It belongs to me. It should stay with me forever. So why not I should give it back while living? Because at the time of death, it will be taken away. Whether you want to give or not, doesn't matter. Somebody will take it away. And ultimately, if you can say, oh no, my kids will take it, my husband will take it, my family member will take it, that money, projections, but even that way they will also die after a few years, or 100 to, who knows, 20 year, 10 year, 5 year, 50 year, 100 year, they will also have to leave. So nobody can take anything from here. So why don't, while I'm living, let me engage it. Let me not, let me give it voluntarily rather than forcefully, when it will be taken away at the time of death. This is the concept of Vaishnava philosophy, the whole Saman Bowman, to engage everything in the service of Krishna. Because anyways, however hard I try to save, it will be taken away. It has been taken away. It will be taken away. How hard you try. Recently in Washington, D.C., there was a flight crash. In a minute, everything finished. Around 70 people over. So, and the life is so fragile. We all know. So why? But because we are so much conditioned, it's very hard to give it up. But if you constantly try to remind yourself, it becomes easy. At least at the time of death, mentally you can give it up. That okay, I'm done. Now I'm done with this world. Now let me focus on Krishna. At least if you, this is the practice time, and the real test would be at the time of death. Because when the body is so much pain, body is in so much pain, you can't remember anything. Nothing is in your control. Then what you think is what you thought the whole life, right? That's why it's all consciousness, Krishna consciousness. It's not called Krishna money, Krishna property, Krishna house. No, it's called Krishna consciousness, Krishna body. No, consciousness, because at the time of death, only consciousness will be active. All the body becomes like a coma, like nothing can work. So, but the consciousness is hard to control, because it comes by practice, right? The whole day you are singing a song, by the sleep also you are singing same thing in your dream also, because the whole day you practice the same song. Same way, if whole life you practice chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then at the time of when the body doesn't work, then also you'll be thinking the same thing, right? That's the purpose. Purpose is not your money, property, position, power, prestige. No. Point is how you can change your consciousness. And that's what Krishna is inducing Arjuna. That even if you're going to fight, you fight for me. You don't think you're doing for yourself. You just do as a matter of duty without attachment and surrender all the result onto me. And then you'll be unaffected by any action, just like the lotus leaf, though living in water, is untouched, right? So that's a summary. And in fact, we completed today 10 slokas, 1 to 10. So next, that is Saturday morning, we'll continue. No, it will be Friday evening US time and Saturday morning India time. We'll continue from 11th sloka in this chapter 5, called Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. And we have only 29 slokas, so we will finish it in 3 sessions. Hopefully next week we should finish this chapter. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments? No? Okay. So everything makes sense, what we discussed?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining. Yeah. Try joining whenever you get time.
Yes, I will try my best. And I'm really sorry. I was actually I shouldn't say anything. Okay.
No.
I will try. I will try
I
my
know.
best.
No, you could try
I know.
even if you can join for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. It's
Yes,
good to,
absolutely. I
if
think
you stay
are right.
regular, then Krishna
It
will
is,
help you to get time.
so it is every day 8 o'clock EST. Is that
Not
correct?
every day. It's just Monday and Friday, your time.
Monday and Friday, 8 p.m. EST. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
You
Monday
can put
and
your
Friday.
calendar.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
so
think
you'll
that
get
would be
reminded.
helpful because otherwise I was not,
Yeah.
100% sure what day it is. So thank you.
Yes. That's a good
Thank
idea.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. All
Thank
right.
you.
So thank you everyone for joining. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank you so much. See you Saturday India time and Friday US time. Hare Krishna.
Hare